Welcome to Say More, the Powerhouse podcast dedicated to elevating the voices and journeys of women striving for the C-suite and those who've already conquered it. Brace yourself for candid conversations, illuminating interviews, and unfiltered insights as we delve into the triumphs, hurdles, and invaluable lessons learned along the path to success. Join us on this empowering journey where inspiration meets empowerment and wisdom reigns supreme. Get ready to ignite your ambition, harness your potential, and thrive alongside your sisters on Say More. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Say More. We are so glad to have you here. I can't believe it. When we started this journey together, we were thinking just the United States, and now this conversation is a global conversation. So I am so glad to know that not only are we helping each other, but we're also looking at how we can grow this space. So thank you for all the shares, the forwards, the likes, everything that you're doing to make this powerful movement part of our movement. Today, we have a wonderful, distinguished guest. And we know when we think about Say More, we meet people at different points in their journey. We know it's not linear, but this particular lady, she is at a high point today. And I want you all to hear what I've heard and probably some of what I haven't heard as well. I think you're going to be as inspired, as excited as I am to go along this journey and to build on and learn from those nuggets. So today we have Dr. Harleen Hutchinson. So glad to have you here. And I know that this is going to be a powerful conversation. You are a dynamo. Come in a small package, you all, but absolutely a big personality. To get us started, because we'll want to know more about you and we'll find that out through the conversation. But could you share a fun fact about yourself that most people don't know?
Kimberly, I'm so glad to be here this morning. It's funny that you asked about this fun facts because I really don't usually talk about me, right? so one thing that people really don't know about me is that I'm an avid soccer player. I played soccer throughout high school and also college, and that soccer has been a really big part of my life, whether I'm on the field or off the field, because soccer has taught me many lessons in life, from teamwork to resiliency to determination, and all of those experiences as a soccer player has really shaped who I am today.
I love that you were able to weave that in, because oftentimes when we start having these conversations about women and careers, we think that it has to be just in the boardroom, the conference room, or an office. But really, the things that you do outside of the office is just as important in shaping the leader that you become and are. So thank you for sharing that. And I didn't know that. So you even held that for me. So as we think about this conversation, Dr. Hutchinson, could you tell us a bit about your journey and really what inspired you to found the Journey Institute?
Wow, that's a deep question.
Yeah.
So my journey has been one of really unexpected turns and deep, really personal growth. I started out in the medical field, believe it or not, even getting accepted to the University of Miami Medical School. But like most of us do, I chose love over career. So at that time, I was actually my fiance was a cardiologist. So at that time, he's like, you really don't need to go through medical school because it's so many years of commitment. So why not delay that? So I really delayed that instead. Spent 10 years really working in public health and in New York City. My background is actually from New York City before really relocating to Florida. However, moving here to Florida was a culture shock for me. Like, I tell people, Florida wasn't as progressive as I thought it would be at that time for a public health degree. And public health degree at that time wasn't even highly recognized as it is today. Yeah. So when I moved there, really, I shifted to work with in the social services field, where I began to see really firsthand the challenges that families with young children face, especially the little ones, where my passion lied. So I poured my art into organization for yearly 9 years doing this work. And then the organization had a stop, right? They had to restructure due to state recommendation. And I found myself without a job. That particular experience was very traumatic for me because that was the type of employment where I really poured myself into. But after I got unemployed, it really led me to the spirit of reflection. So I reflected for a year. I took a year of sabbatical, did not seek employment. And within that year, what I found was to really focus on myself and really explore who I am. And also to really use my skills to really make a difference. Then the Journey Institute came to life. And as a result of that, my life has been really a journey. And my organization tagline, if you look at it, is Rebuilding Lives, because it also reflects my commitment to helping wounded families to restore hope through their genuine relationship. Because that's what I had to do with myself. I had to restore hope in the system that actually took a piece of me.
Right. So could you tell us, because I know as you were saying that, I'm hearing your passion, I'm hearing, and even especially when you talked about that 1 year of reflection, did you experience any, initial fears? Because, oftentimes, and I know that our listeners, and certainly this isn't a push that, hey, go and quit your job today. It is more of one of finding that space where you really can be the best version of yourself. And for a lot of people, that's taken shape in the way of starting their own businesses and building on what they've already been doing for other people. So did you experience any initial fears when you're like, okay, I'm going to do this? How was it each day going in, building on that dream? That's now how many years old? Because I want our listeners to know that too.
This is probably about 14
Wow.
years ago. So we're still planting seeds, still planting, paving the way. And it's an ongoing journey. It's an ongoing journey because in life we meet folks every day from all walks of life, all different discipline. And it's that ability to of really embracing what differences that people bring, experiences that people bring. So the Journey Institute is ongoingly continue to be unfold, right?
Yeah.
And in regards to your question about any fears, actually, and in reality, I didn't experience any fear because I'm a firecracker. I see myself as a firecracker. I'm a go getter. And I must say, part of the reason why this was different for me, my background when I worked in New York, I worked with all in an all male environment,
Uh-huh.
and at that time, I was actually being what should I say, being prepared or
Yes.
being
Groomed.
mentor,
A mentor. Right.
groomed, right? That's it, right? Being groomed as to what to expect in the field. And when I reflect back today, I really reflect on those experiences, those hard lessons learned working in an environment that was male dominated, right? Because it's as a result of those environment and those relationship who actually shapes who I am and shapes how I deal with challenges actually.
Wow. So when you think about, your experience as a licensed psychologist, how has that influenced the mission and vision of the Journey Institute?
So I must say, I have two disciplines. I'm a licensed psychologist and also a licensed social worker. So
Ah,
those experiences have actually profoundly shaped the mission of the Journey Institute because throughout my career, I've had the privilege of walking alongside those families, walking alongside individuals during their most vulnerable moments. This experience has also given me the opportunity to really understand the complexities of human emotions and also the impact of trauma and the deep connection that relationship plays when it comes to healing. As I worked as a psychologist and a social worker, I also listened to the stories of those who allowed me to walk along their path. I listened to their pain. I also realized in the midst of those listening time sessions, right? I also realized that healing is not just about an individual journey; it's a collective one, and how collectively we heal, right? So the mission of the Journey Institute was born from this understanding that really relationship is healing. It was also born from this understanding that within personal growth and really working with folks, we are able to really provide those tools for resilience, but also create a compassionate community where individuals from all walks of life could find support that they need, find understanding and a sense of belonging. Because when families come to us, they're broken, and system they've met come across so many barriers, and feel that a piece of them have been taken away. So the vision of the Journey Institute, it really goes beyond traditional therapy. It's also fostering those environments where people feel safe to explore their experiences and be vulnerable and say, hey, I feel this, I have these fears, I have these challenges, right? So my work as a psychologist has also shown me that when we come together with empathy and authenticity in relationship, we can really create those spaces where healing is possible. So this belief is the heart of everything that I do, everything that I practice as a leader in leadership role. Show up as your authentic self, and everything else will fall in place.
I think, just hearing your soothing voice and just the strength that comes from that, I know that our listeners some of them will even be entering, calling it the healing journey, because, one, reflecting on that your emotions are real, and one, that you can actually communicate. You don't have to hold them in and don't have to go it alone. With the Journey Institute, and when I was reading about it before I reached out to you, because I'm again just so intrigued by the work that you're doing, I know that it focuses on emotional wellness, promoting emotional wellness and personal growth. Why do you believe that these areas are just crucial for professional success when we think about the listeners that are out there?
Kimberly, when we think about emotional wellness, we often don't think about the impact it has on our human spirit, right? Our soul, right? So we believe that it's a strong foundation for emotional health. Even the most skilled professional that do this job can struggle. I think COVID-19 has actually taught us that, right? Um, can really struggle to reach their full potential. So when our belief is that when individuals or persons are really emotionally well, they're better to do their job. They're better to handle stress. They're also better at maintaining those challenges and resilience that's needed to really thrive in doing their work, especially in this demanding environment that we're exposed to. So post personal growth is really important. It also fosters that mindset of continuous improvement. Considering today's fast-paced society that we're dealing with, right? We really need to and learning how to adapt to the changed environment. So what we realize is that folks who are really committed to that professional growth, they're more effective in their role. I am more reflected in my role. It also aligns with the work and the values and the passion that you come to this work to from your discipline. So time and time again, we realize that when people's emotional well-being are really centered, they're better able to really dig into the work at a deeper level. This also enhances their ability to lead with intentionality, lead with intention, right? But also lead with empathy. So all these are all the areas we focuses on in the Journey Institute, and it's about cultivating those inner strength and really providing folks with the clarity that we all need so it really make meaningful impact on the lives of others. At the Journey Institute, our work is relationship based, so we work with caregivers and their babies together. So it really is very important that how we are, there's a mantra in my field: how you are is as important as what you are, as what you do, but what you do is as equally important as how you are. That means you cannot pour from that empty cup. So we have to make sure that we're really taking care of ourselves first before we could offer unto others.
What feedback would you offer? Because I'm thinking about everything that you're saying, and again, I know that this is going to speak to so many different people. Again, our audience originally was the United States, and now we got a 20% share in Spain, and then it's in Africa. So it's all these different places that we're meeting people along their journeys. What about those folks that maybe are listening right now and maybe suffering from impersonator syndrome? What do you where you don't feel like you can bring your whole self to the conversation? What advice would you give in that instance?
It's funny that you talk about that because actually I'm in the process of releasing a book that I wrote about the
Oh,
invisible wound, that the mask that we wear as leaders, especially
uh-huh.
BIPOC women, because we wear so many different masks and we suffer from those things because we are not given that opportunity to really lean into our true authentic self, right? because we tend to be socialized by what society wants, what the workplace wants. So we bury parts of ourselves that actually are that actually plays a critical role in how we lead, actually plays a critical role in who you are and how you show up at the workplace. So my advice to folks is surround yourself with leaders, with village, leaders on your path who shares your same passion and also welcomes you for your own uniqueness, and lean into and own who you are, because in order to lead in this work you have to know who you are, because at the end of the day, when we bury parts of ourselves to fit into society's standards or the organizational standards, there's this other part that's also isolated and empty, right? But when you lean into your authentic self and lean into what gives you pleasure, what drives you, what gives you that what fuel your passion, um you're better able to function and cope.
I love that. Could you share with us some of the key programs or initiatives at the Journey Institute that you are particularly proud of, that you're like, those are my babies?
Okay. So, we have a couple of programs at the Journey Institute, but some of the programs that I'm really more inclined to think about is we have a Strong Beginnings program. And this program offers really a lifeline to mothers experiencing maternal mental health challenges. And also we provide treatment and support that they need during those vulnerable times. We know the birth data for BIPOC moms, right? But we also know that the data is very poor when it comes to their maternal mental health, because we know as BIPOC mothers, culturally and community, we really don't seek help when we're going through those mental health challenges. The second program is our infant and early childhood mental health program. So this program is basically an outpatient program really dedicated to the youngest. We serve birth to 5, provide screening, assessment, and treatment to young children who are really struggling with emotional and behavioral challenges. A lot of folks are probably saying, birth to 5, I can have mental health issues.
Yeah.
Absolutely. These are what we call social emotional struggles that young children have a hard time dealing with, that actually manifest into really severe mental health issues, right? Those early childhood experiences. And we know how critical those early years are. So this program ensures that children are really getting what they need. And then we have our Building Strong Brains initiative. This is an initiative that raises awareness about the profound impact of adverse childhood experiences and early brain development. So each year, what we do, we bring together system leaders from across our state, policymakers, judges, social workers, even the sheriff. If you look at my website, we had that event last year. You see the sheriff involved, and this program actually is a yearly event in October. We call Celebrate Babies Week is October, the week of October 21st. And this is a reminder that everyone needs to center babies in the work they do, and how imperative it is to center babies into policies, because babies, if we invest early, our return on investment is very huge. And then my last program is my reflective supervision and consultation program. That program actually provides support to professionals from various systems of care, really helping them to navigate the every stressors of the work, because the work is hard, but it's also rewarding, right? So by offering these spaces for folks to reflect and talk about some of the challenges, it helps to reduce burnout and also to ensure that they're really ready to and able to do the work that they do so well.
So you said a term, and I want to make sure that our listeners around the globe understand what that term is, BIPOC. Could you share what that definition is? And then I'll move into the next question.
So BIPOC are folks who identify as Black, Indigenous, people of color, right? Are under those categories. So these are people who identify as others. So they're more the marginalized group who actually are not are oftentimes not receiving equity in services, equity in treatment.
So, what are some of the common challenges? Because again, this is about women, and we're like, say more. What are some common challenges you see women facing when it comes to emotional wellness? And really, how do you help them overcome these obstacles?
Kimberly, that is a very good question, because we often as women don't talk about those challenges, right?
Yeah.
Because we're thinking we're the only one going through. But one of the most common challenges that I see women face is the pressure to be strong, and also to fit into organization or society expectation, right? To present with as flawless. present
Yeah.
this flawless image like everything is wrong. And then this constant drive to be perfect and to lead even during stress, right? But also to bury those issues of self-doubt, right? So at the Journey Institute, what we do, we help women overcome by creating a really safe space where they share their experiences and embrace their true self. We also encourage vulnerability. In order for folks to show up as their true self, we have to, as leaders, we have to model vulnerability too, right? And self-compassion. And it's in that understanding that really strength lies not in perfection but in authenticity. That's one of my mantra, right? And through our tailored supportive services like reflective practice and community of understanding, we empower women to really redefine their narratives. You're in charge of your story. You're in charge of your narrative, and really find the wellness in embracing who they really are, and embracing the flaws and embracing what they bring to relationship as leaders.
Oh, I love that. That's so beautiful. I'm certain that there's going to be many drop the mic moments, but that really was a drop the mic response there because a lot of people need to hear that. A lot of people are
Absolutely.
operating in silence and just have no at this point sometimes beaten down for a bit that they don't believe that someone else is experiencing the same thing. So I know that
Absolutely.
again, healing will come. At least the healing process will start by way of this conversation. So how do you approach the concept of resilience? Because again, a lot of people will say, "Well, wait, why don't you go to a group meeting and hear some of the tips to avoid it?" But what your strength comes from, especially when you approach it, it's through your own life journey and the resilience that you found within yourself. And so, how do you approach it, and why is it so important, both in personal and professional life, to have that level of resilience?
Use that term so loosely, but sometimes we allow society to dictate to us or define those things for us, right? And not realizing that we do have that resilience within us. And think about resilience is not just about withstanding challenges, but to grow through them. Um, Something my Caribbean culture and spiritual faith is deeply ingrained in me is really how resilience is a way of life, right? And this has been passed on from generation to generation about really finding those inner strength during times of adversity, leaning onto the villages, right? Leaning into the elders within your family, the elders within the community. And also, sorry, using those setbacks as really stepping stones toward greater professional growth. So my spiritual faith, for example, really grounds me, offering me a sense of growth and hope, and it also helps to anchor me in everything that I do. I'm very strongly grounded spiritually, so to anchor me. So, when you think about resilience, resilience is very crucial for me because it also helps me to navigate the complexity of relationship as I lead. It encouraged me to really navigate those ups and downs that comes from doing this work. And with resiliency and with my faith that grounds me, it also helps me, gives me that grace and perseverance simultaneously to continue to do these work, right? So in doing that, resiliency also it helps me to keep focus and maintain that sense of purposeness, no matter what the obstacles might be and or what the challenges might be. I always really lean back into our spirituality. What society has done to us as women leaders, especially considering leaders out there, one woman who might who might be BIPOC, robs us of our sense of self, especially the cultural connection that we have actually relied on from generation to generation, right? So we need to really go back to those connections to really redefine our source of purpose and our source of practicality in doing this work.
I love it. Love it. What's been some of the best career advice that you ever received, and how did it influence your career decisions?
It's funny that you say that. I just had this conversation with another colleague of mine as a
Uh-huh.
reminder this weekend, right? The best advice I ever got: always treat people or treat others the way you want to be treated, and recognize that everyone's voice matter, no matter how insignificant that voice may be, and no matter how simple that person might be. Everyone's voice matter, and always remember that principle that even though it might be insignificant, Those are some of the things that actually I use as my mantra and I use as a guiding force in my career. It has also influenced my decision making by reminding me that true leadership is all about empathy, it's about respect, and it's about inclusion. We have to learn how to include others, right? Regardless of how they show up, how they come to the work, right? So by ensuring that everyone's voice is valid, I've been able to really build teams. I've been able to foster collaboration and create environments where innovation thrive, right? So this approach not only shapes who I am, but it also reinforces my belief in the power of compassion and the importance of lifting others up as we climb. That's where we fall short. As we climb up the ladder, we forget we need to really lift each other up.
Yeah, that's a piece that we really want to stick a pin in it, because a lot of I've heard so many conversations around the country and just in general, or even reading about them, where it's the belief that only I'm climbing up this mountaintop and forget everybody else, and I'm like, no, that's not how it works. We are literally standing on the shoulders of others, which means that we need to be prepared for others to stand on our shoulders as well, so that we can lift them up and be okay celebrating the great work that they're doing. Yeah. Yeah. As a matter of fact, to kind of live that out, I want this audience to know that not only is it a treat to have you as a part of our conversation today, but you most recently received a national award. So it's great when we talk about the flowers are being given to each other and how we need to lift that up. It's great to know that the spotlight is on the work that Dr. Hutchinson is doing, and certainly realizing that as we shine the light on her, it's shining a light on others too, because she is helping, she is encouraging, she is empowering through her work. And I know that there'll be lights for those people that she's serving. So, and we hope the same for you, our listeners. Dr. Hutchinson, my goodness, when I think about it, what role does leadership play in fostering an inclusive and emotionally healthy workplace? Because we hear the term, and I know you're probably going to talk about it too, those toxic workplaces. So, what role
Absolutely.
does leadership play in fostering this inclusive and emotionally healthy workplace?
So, Kimberly, as leaders, sometimes we often forget that our team or the workplace is a product of how we lead, right? And not recognizing that leadership is the cornerstone of this inclusion and emotionally healthy workforce, right? So, true leaders who create environments where every voice is heard, every voice is valued, every voice is respected, but also foster a culture of respect and belonging. We seem to forget about belonging. There are so many organizations out there where folks are saying, "I don't feel belong." You cannot be a leader and have exclude and do not have belonging, right? So by leading, when leaders lead with empathy, they really empower folks at the workplace to bring their full self, right? Driving creativity, it also drives collaboration and trust. So when leaders also prioritize mental well-being, and model vulnerability. A lot of times in this field, as women leaders, we are taught you can't go to the workplace and show who you are. You can't be vulnerable, because if you are too vulnerable, it means you're a weak leader. Not recognizing that good leaders who are vulnerable, saying, "I am human being too. I too have flaws," right? And not recognizing that folks at the workplace like to know or see that their leaders also is human being. We lose Sometimes we lead so much that we lose sense of our humanity, that we too are human being too. So we really need to be able to model that vulnerability and also really stay connected to your team, and so they could feel supported in doing this work.
That's beautiful. I mean, and listeners, leaders, those of you that are already in that C-suite spot, because we talk about the journey, whether you're just starting your first job, you might even be in an internship, second job, or you may already be in the C-suite. Fact is that when we come together on Say More, that we can learn together and grow together. And that certainly is a growth moment there, that sometimes we absolutely get caught up in the mix of falling into how society wants to shape us versus realizing that we're human first. So when I think about that, and challenges, and whether it's a toxic workplace or just whatever that thing may be, can you talk about a time when you faced significant challenges in your career and how you overcame them? I know you talked about with the restructuring, and that may be the thing that you want to share with our listeners. But any other challenges that made you like, my goodness, because we all reach these questioning points in our careers or our journeys.
And Kimberly, let me say that these challenges don't go away,
Yes.
especially in America. As a Black woman, you face challenge every day as a Black woman. Take, for example, what's going on now, right? We always have to be on that radar, proving yourself. So throughout my career, I've faced significant challenges as a Black woman. I continue to face significant challenge as a Black woman in how I show up authentically and isn't afraid to speak up. When you show up authentically, isn't afraid to speak up, your voice is not welcome in certain spaces. So one of the most disheartening experiences as a Black woman that I've encountered is funding and gatekeeping. And I'm gonna share that with you because when I apply for grant funding or submit really strong grant proposal, and sometimes you're being told, "Oh, the proposal is excellent, excellent proposal," and even though they realize that I'm the only provider in my community who might deliver that services, right?
Right.
I still get denied. I don't get those resources. So these experiences have been incredible depleting as a leader for me. It has also led me to really question my own integrity at times, right?
Yeah.
And also my value. What is my value that I bring to this work? And it's when you're also met with these doors that keeps getting closed in your door. Whenever you know that your work is transformative, it really takes a toll on you. But what I'm saying to the listeners, what has really helped me to really overcome these challenges is it's really shifting the way I devote my energy and my time. 2024 came, I said, no, I need to shift the way I use my energy, shift the way I devote my time in spaces where I'm not welcome. So what I've done in how I've created that are shifted or transformed, that is really sought out and aligned myself with like-minded individuals and organization outside of my immediate community.
Wow.
People who genuinely understand the scope of my work, the value of what I bring to relationship-based work. And what I notice is that this shift has been a blessing for
Yeah.
me. It's been amazing to see how this change is unfolding, right? I'm now being embraced and being recognized for the work I do, even at the national level and at the international level. So this recognition has really reignited my passion and reaffirmed my commitment to continue showing up authentically despite barriers. Um, it's good, but it's also sad because here I am in a community providing a services where I'm not being seen, I'm invisible. Yet still on the national platform and an international platform, I'm getting these accolades where people that actually do what I do recognize me. So my advice to listeners is when one door closed, many doors gonna close. Try to transform and realign yourself with people who actually believe in you and people who actually supports you and understand what you do.
I love that because, two great points that you brought up with that is one, that challenges don't disappear.
Mm.
They will
Absolutely
continue to
not.
show up, but what can change is how prepared you are to meet those challenges. So thank you for that. And then the second part of that is that when you said when one door closes, what you did was create another door. And I
Absolutely.
love the power of that. It is unfortunate, but what you didn't do was dwell at that door. You
Mm-mm.
created a new
You
door. You
you
created a
cannot
new
be
door.
paralyzed
Yeah, you
because
cannot
one
be
of the things
paralyzed.
you got to remember, you have control over your own story and your own narrative. Don't allow others to create your story or tell your story.
I love it. I love it. What advice would you give to women aspiring to leadership positions, particularly in your industry and field?
It's funny that you asked that because when I got my award, that's exactly what I told the women and leaders on the in the room, right? Always really lead with authenticity and let that be your compass, especially when the road gets a little difficult and lonely. It is lonely out there when you're leading by yourself, but also surround yourself with positive support, people who uplift you and believe in you, like I said. And most importantly, what I want you guys to know is to really anchor yourself in who you are, whatever fuels your spirit and provides strength, whether it's your faith, like I said, whether it's your family, whatever that personal passion because in the face of these challenges, these are the anchors that will keep you grounded and resilient and true leaders. We need to recognize that you need to recognize what it means to be a resilient and true leader, the true leader you are meant to be, and not let someone steal your joy.
Yeah. Yeah, because there is a lot out there that's trying to steal your joy and have you mimic or be someone else, and you'll never be happy being someone else. You must be happy
Absolutely.
being yourself. So, as you look ahead, what are your future goals for the Journey Institute, and how do you see it evolving in the next few years? Because you have created, by way of this conversation, lots of different cheerleaders and champions that will be in your corner and excited about what's happening for you.
So, as I think about the Journey
Yeah.
Institute, the population I work with, they're dear to my heart. I love what I do. And so my vision for the journey is to really establish a brain and wellness center where every baby, every young child, and every caregiver are able to receive the care and support that they need, regardless of income, regardless of zip codes, regardless of their race. That's very important to the work that I do because we know what the outcome says, right? So, as I think about this vision, my vision is to really create a place where no one is defined by their circumstances, but instead that everyone has access to quality treatment and quality resources to really foster those early development and those strong family bonds. So, in the next few years, as we continue to evolve, we're going to be evolving into this and into the to really be the beacon of hope for of hope for healing and the center where all children can thrive and every family will feel supportive and empowered as they continue to really support their children.
I have no doubt that the families that you're serving are in great hands and that the futures are brighter because of you and the work that you're doing. Dr. Hutchinson, we want to thank you for sharing time on Say More and lending not only your voice, but your talent, passion, and just love for others. Say More listeners, we could not do this without you. This is such a powerful platform that I know will only continue to grow. It's the power of us. That's what it is. So remember to like, share, and follow. And we look forward to seeing you on the next Say More episode.